on, you guys? My name is Rayge, and we are back today with a hotly debated topic in regards to the investment of the Extreme X-Men team, but as well as, does this bode well for the DEATHSEED and how that's going to look now for the future of this DEATHSEED team, especially with the majority of folks likely pouring a lot of, investment into these characters and teams. We're going to be talking about that. So if you guys recall too, we really did have this kind of issue when, obviously the Rebirth team came out and the Web Warriors weren't here for that long. The Web Warriors were only here for, I think, not even half the year. And then all of a sudden with the Rebirth team coming in, they really swept them by storm. And at that point, folks really didn't really have a choice, but they needed to bring in these teams to go higher and higher into obviously the Doom raids and then eventually the Incursion raids, guys. So that's kind of the area that we're sitting in right now. Oddly enough, because this character right here, this is what makes it difficult for us, right? And I'm so close, guys. I just need one more team to go, but Big Apocalypse is such a big factor in the investment of these teams and synergies. And the only time I can see that there's gonna be a definitive answer for us is if his requirements get lowered, right? So if you recall with Big Apocalypse, you're gonna need 23 characters at gear tier 17, level 90, as well as the T2 blue ISO 5. So characters, going through the DEATHSEED team here, and as well what I've starred and added here is obviously the Unlimited X-Men as well. But each and every one of these characters, the DEATHSEED, the Unlimited X-Men, they're all really needed at gear tier 17, level 90, because you need these bare minimum requirements. Same with Rogue and her respective Unlimited X-Men team. This is going to be an investment that's in the game if you really want one of the best characters in the game in Big Apocalypse. So I don't see DEATHSEED being a skippable team just yet until we addressed the big elephant in the room, which is Apocalypse investment, right? Is he going to be a character that folks can skip? And if that's the case, then we could very well argue that the time for DEATHSEED is going to be near, right? But until that time comes, we still need all these characters and all these mutant characters at gear tier 17. Now, I also wanted to bring in a little bit of my my Dark Dimension 6 experience, because I do think that there's some characters that aren't really that skippable, at least in the meantime, right? Omega Red is hands down one of the best legendary characters that you can use for Dark Dimension 6 run. So you're going to be bringing him up as well. And again, he ties back to obviously the mutant gear that you'll be utilizing. You can obviously get the job done, I believe, now if you just swap them out and bring in Doc Ock and Green Goblin. But it's just the amount of crowd controlling Omega Red can bring to Dark Dimension 6 that it's hard to ignore, especially for the legendary section, especially knowing that in the future Dark Dimension 7, they are going to separate the legendary and mythic nodes. It means that you're not going to have, that easy of a time to go through it, and especially taking advantage of some of these better legendary characters that have that crowd controlling aspect. So, in the meantime, guys, I think DEATHSEED is safe for now. If you guys are starting off in the game and transitioning to mid game, it doesn't hurt to build both the DEATHSEED and the Extreme X-Men team. If the Extreme X-Men team become more available, right? And so characters like obviously Nightcrawler, we know Cyclops has gone to rework. We know Gambit's part of the Unlimited X-Men team and the Extreme X-Men team, but characters like these guys, like you can totally start investing in them and bring them up. It's just when we know that Big Apocalypse has that investment at that gear tier 17 and level 90, and even in his original unlock, right, just first unlocking him, you still need all of these characters, I believe, it's either gear tier 15 or 16 to get the initial unlock. But regardless, Unlimited X-Men, DEATHSEED are staying put so as long as Big Apocalypse and Baby Apocalypse have those requirements in the meantime, because that's the one thing that Web Warriors, the symbiotes, did not have, is that there needed to be another reason for you to bring them up, right? And that's the bigger conversation again, guys, is that investment for your account, what's best. But thankfully, the good news is the DEATHSEED team, right? They're still working right now in Incursions 2.2. We're still getting the job done here and going. You can use this team for all 3 nodes. But obviously, once we start slowly bringing up the Extreme X-Men team, I'm sure we're going to see plenty of new content coming out on how these Extreme X-Men team can just kick these Incursion raids butts at lower team levels. You don't need to invest as much. But remember, the minimum for this team to actually get the Big Apocalypse is gear tier 17 and level 90. And that's such a heavy investment that you do need to be thinking about those mutant resources. That's why I wanted to bring up the Omega Red conversation here. But as well, I have some other topics and considerations, guys. Let's remember as well that Miss Marvel Hardlight, you know, I've been trying to figure her out, but like everybody else has been an investment as well. It's been hard, but you know, thankfully, her being at gear tier 50 and 80 is still getting the job done for me in Arena. That's pretty much the only reason I brought her up, but most folks will likely bring her up as well for the Dark Dimension 6. You know, if you guys aren't planning to opt her out in place of the other, you know, Superior 6, Sinister 6 characters that are good options now. But she's another mutant that we need to consider as an investment because of that Secret Defenders meta. Now, mind you, this might be very well changing in the next 6 months, but just something to consider. They're all using the same mutant gear if you want to bring them up. And then the other elephant in the room, we know likely Panda Pool's coming into the game in the future here, given how the voting has been. So that means, is there going to be a rework coming to Death Pool? It's possible. Is there going to be more reworks coming or buffs being added to additional mutants in the game? It's very possible, right? So that means, you know, for 2024, the main bottleneck is really going to be the mutant gear, guys. We got to be smart and strategic with how we bring these investments up, because it just seems like there's been a never-ending wave of mutant characters after mutant characters, and we know there's still another 3 coming right after, you know, excuse me, another 2 coming with Sunspot and Forge joining the Extreme X-Men team. We know Professor Xavier is hinted to be coming into the game now as well. And then let's not forget, guys, finally, let's not forget, we know there's a boatload of X-Men reworks coming to the game. I'm personally rooting for Phoenix here. She's needed love for quite some time. So characters that we've already, you know, wanted to build for quite some time, having these reworks, they're all going to be, you know, battling and fighting for the same resource constraint, which is the mutant gear, right, guys? So that's something else that we should be thinking about altogether in the long term here, especially for 2024, knowing how this is going to be, you know, settling out. Yeah, but part of the challenge is really the Apocalypse investment needing 2 full mutant teams, and that's really why we have this big bottleneck. And even after then, guys, let's not forget, you know, Apocalypse himself is a mutant, so even after you get his unlock, you want to bring him up, well, guess what? You're gonna have to pay the price of the mutant gear. So, and I think that's kind of the big unforeseeable challenge that folks have been experiencing ever since they've, you know, not only got the Apocalypse unlock, but then finally getting him to a decent gear tier level to participate. You're gonna notice that your mutant gear is gonna get drained, and we need to be strategic about this. But my 2 cents, guys, is that I'm probably gonna slowly work on Extreme X-Men, but thankfully, you know, Archangel and his team, respectively, his Horseman team can still get the job done in Incursions 2.2. Once 2.3 comes, or even the first strike comes for Incursions, I'm still going to try out this team. I want to see if it can work. If it can, we're going to maintain status quo and keep on getting value out of this team. Otherwise, the slow build of the Extreme X-Men is happening, because we know with this ever-changing meta, we have to be on top of these teams. So if you're a new player or a mid-game player, I don't think you can go wrong by building DEATHSEED or Extreme X-Men, because there's going to be value regardless, especially knowing that Apocalypse is part of that reward later on. If you guys are an endgame player, you probably won't have a choice. We're going to have to build up both teams, because we need Apocalypse as well. We need to be up to date with the ever-changing meta, and obviously the raid challenges that come along its way. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below if you agree or disagree, but this is definitely a unique situation that we've seen because of what Apocalypse has done to the current landscape of the game. But I do think that it's good and healthy, because it's allowed the players autonomy to choose what they want to do, but at the same time, we need to be very strategic about managing our resources, especially knowing the abundance of mutant characters and upgrades to come. So happy Saturday, guys. Thank you as always. I'll catch you guys in the next one.